Hey, hey, hey!
Hi everybody, Adrian and Tommy here again with the Corporate Alchemist project, and here we are, glorious day again on the Goldie. And this week we've got something pretty special, Tommy Glant, haven't we? What's the topic for the week?
We have Adrian Hanks. We're going into the world of the quantum and the Corporate Alchemist project, Quantum Leap. So what does a quantum mean to corporates? And we're going to start with the part that I kind of run point on, which is the physiological come psychological piece, the first half of the week.
So I'm intrigued. How are you going to blend that into
together?
quantum?
I have no bloody idea, mate. I've got to tell you. It's like this one's going to be dancing as we go. So, I was thinking about it earlier on today, thinking, holy shit, talk about giving yourself a tough one. It's a bit easier for the stuff you're doing later in the week.
Yeah, because
right?
that sort of leads into quantum straight away, doesn't it?
Well, it does, right? You're closer to it.
Yeah.
I'm a few floors down, and down where the knuckle draggers are.
But if you think of the concept of the microcosm and macrocosm, all being the same, like we are a reflection of the cosmos.
Yeah.
That might be a really good place to start.
In the cosmos? Well, you understand the Greek word for cosmos. Cosmos means like, the cosmos is like the surroundings, people around, everything,
Yeah. Which is what the quantum field is, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is. The quantum field is
everything, isn't it?
It incorporates everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely does.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that and the three-dimensional world that we exist in a physical form, when we're talking about physiology, how do you then take the quantum, attach that to physiology, and then just to connect in there, because this is the Corporate Alchemist project, put a corporate theme on this, right? Yeah. So here we go. We're gonna give this a run.
Yeah. So let's take that idea then, Tommy, of bringing quantum into the workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is really this is the support that we're bringing is really for that corporate workplace. This is for the the men and the women too who are going into that space, into that business corporate space. We're trying to change that paradigm somehow. Yeah. And we want to bring some sense and understanding of the quantum aspect.
Yep.
How to make a quantum leap maybe with business.
Yep.
In and through the 21st century.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So off you go.
Thanks for all that time for me to sort of try and muscle something together. All right. So look, I think here's where I think the corporate world kind of has tended to struggle with this concept, right? Because it has been seen as a concept. I think it was kind of shunned somewhat by the medical system, really, that we have today. Really, it's a competitor to the current medical system that we have. So I'm just going to go out in left field here a little, and then I'll bring it back into the corporate world. But when you're looking at the quantum, and look, there's a lot of claims being made on healing and so on, and this is now science is catching up. It's almost like legislation catching up with where entrepreneurs, like with Bitcoin, the first few guys got put into jail, right? Now it's like, now it's okay.
Everybody's doing Reiki now, aren't they? Like hands on,
standard issue, right? Yeah, item number such and such.
If you're not doing Reiki, like where have you been for 7 years?
Dude, like, and so quantum is actually starting, it seems, to become somewhat mainstream. But when you look at the current medical system today, where it's been the sickness industry versus where you and I play in the wellness industry, which is like apparently 10 times the size or something.
Yeah, it's huge. Right? It's fastest growing industry on the planet.
Right, there we go. Right? Next to, I think, IT's still up there, but wellness is like cranking it. So, well, especially after COVID, I'm sure it's like getting a little bump, right?
Actually, I was having that conversation today. It's like all this idea about COVID. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to put a COVID package together rather than all the fear and planting that the idea that you're going to get a vaccine or you're going to get something? How about we, spend money on a package where you get your vitamin C, you get a little booklet on how to do some exercise, how to get the immune system boosted, how to make some iron tablets or whatever it is, and put a health package together for COVID. I mean, imagine the government doing that.
Right. I think it would have to be a COVID operation.
All
right.
I good little fun.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I mean, you would have to put that almost in a package that's
quantum package.
The quantum package. Let's call it the quantum package.
There
Maybe
you go.
that'll be easier, perhaps. Once again, though, you'd be competing against forces that are somewhat entrenched, I think, in really what's been industrialized again. And this is a freight train that I think the tracks are starting to get a little wobbly on. And the quantum, I don't know about you, but I've been seeing, and this is a bit of a quantum concept as well, right? When you start looking and thinking about certain things and that's all you see. It's like, wow, I haven't seen that particular car before, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're seeing them all week.
Have you
right?
seen the new electric Jag, mate? It's gorgeous.
There is, right?
There's
I think
electric
we're allowed
Jag.
to, obviously.
It's really gorgeous. I've
serious.
seen it, yeah.
But Mercedes have got theirs out too now,
And
right?
But the Jag is really sweet.
Is it? God, trust the Pong, right?
Yeah. 110 grand, which is pretty reasonable.
Oh, all right.
I'd say for a Jag,
Jag?
electric Jag.
They haven't done the E-Type, have they?
Yeah.
They brought back the
No, it's
E-Type?
not the E-Type,
Oh
no.
my
It's a
God.
shame.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to come back.
Yeah.
All right, my God, we are doing a big lap. So, coming back, COVID, quantum physiology, corporate, and we were going to start in...
Well, you were looking at the big pharma in a sense. You're talking about that, disconnect
right, because
from health and well-being.
It's competitive. I mean, the wellness industry and the sickness industry compete with each other. End of story, right? Because one's built on treating people for symptoms, or you don't treat biomarkers. I mean, one is like your cholesterol level in your blood, for example. That's actually a biomarker. It doesn't mean you've got a cholesterol problem as far as this cholesterol building up on your blood vessels. And people seem to. We've all been programmed into this sort of, his cholesterol's high. That means he does have inflammation and an issue with his arteries and his veins getting blocked.
Yeah, it's probably not
necessarily.
Probably not eating turmeric,
right?
which is
there we go, right?
A really easy thing to
take, anti-inflammatories, and vitamin C and everything else. It helps, but I mean, there are genetic predispositions, and I do have that predisposition, so I've got to watch it.
We can change that. Energetically and epigenetically.
Totally.
Right? Totally change that.
Yeah, there we go.
Called quantum energy.
So we go to the quantum in healing, right? And that
healing
is where you can go to actually start giving attention. I know we're coming around on this slowly. Giving attention and awareness to something, how it then changes the outcome, right? I mean, Einstein, right, talked about this. I believe Tesla was all over it as well. Once we're going back into frequency, energy, vibration, right? But as you start to bring those concepts into the corporate world and your physiology, let's flip it around. Let's start there, right?
Back to the beginning.
Then I'd swing it around. Busted.
I love getting back to the beginning. 10 minutes in and we're back to where we started.
Oh, God. I hope you enjoyed the trip. That's all I can say.
The quantum trip.
You can't edit when you're going live, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't going on the editing floor. But maybe some people will skip ahead with a warning. So physiology, and then I want to go into the corporate side, right? Because from a physiological aspect, once again, we're talking about the wellness industry and the sickness industry. There is what's his name? Joe Dispenza, right? Yeah. I mean, this guy was a triathlete. We have one on here right now. Brian, how you doing, mate? This guy, was run over by an elderly lady in an SUV and broke his back, basically. Crunched it, collapsed it, compressed it. Got to the point where after 3 weeks, where it starts to bind and grow back, he had a decision he needed to make. Very quickly, am I going to get fusion rod stuck up my back, right? Which creates a whole lot of other life complications after that. Or am I going to do something really crazy and like the stuff that I've learned, because he was a chiropractor, so he would have learned a bit about the quantum field, or am I going to use my brain to actually rebuild my backbone? And he did.
Psychic healing.
I mean, and
quantum healing.
Quantum
Psychic
healing,
Same
right?
thing, yeah.
Okay. Now, a lot of people are going to go, "Oh, really, dude? What are you smoking? This shit is real.
Yeah, it's real.
It's real." And it's the science is starting to prove it. So, as we said before,
it must be real now.
Exactly. Now it must be real. The cross-lateral, pervasive religion of science, cutting across everything, right? And getting out of its box versus religion, where that was an issue years ago.
But there's a need, isn't there, to that scientific knowledge is needed for that left brain to put it into place so it's logical, it's real, and understandable.
It becomes what they call fact in the
becomes
physical
fact.
world.
It becomes fact.
Yeah, it becomes understandable. We can prove it, and because we've been programmed to believe in physics and science that it must be real, then that's the way our brain and our belief systems adjust and go, yes. And I was taught that at school.
Yeah.
We could go and talk a whole lot about the education system and why it is what it is, but that's a total different topic we could put a series on.
But that blend of spirituality and science now is what's coming to the fore, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the new quantum field. It's managing to put the spirituality and the scientific together as a whole. It's like the yin-yang of spirituality and science are now coming together.
Yeah, the yang I would like to think that quantum's more of a yin type of thing, right? Because it's so soft. Yeah. It's not forced. It's one's black, one's light, and so I think when you look at the quantum and then physiology and science is starting to prove this out. So now people go, it's okay now to believe this. I think it's a wonderful time that we're alive because I can see this gathering speed right now. I don't know about if you're seeing it. I certainly am, and it's funny. I think this COVID situation is somewhat kind of connected into it too.
Well, it's giving people a pause to think.
Right. Oh my God, forbid. Think. Getting out of the routine.
Conscious thinking.
The 70,000 thoughts that are automatic in the subconscious.
And how do we grasp one or two of those thoughts?
Right.
And bring that thought into...
And move forward.
Yeah, move forward with a thought.
Right. Move forward with a thought.
Because unless a thought is actually utilised, it's a waste of thought.
Well, exactly.
There's a quote there from Adrian.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, did you get that? Yeah, did you trademark that one?
Yeah.
Right. So... look how it's just mind blowing to think that, and you look at back to the dispenser example that he reconstructed using his brain. He built new. So what would have happened is he was thinking, I think, of light. He was constantly meditating that he was rebuilding, and he would have known to a level of detail, being a chiropractor, what the backbone looks like and building it, right, re-architecting it. I think it took him a few months. And they said he was going to be in a wheelchair and all the usual negative stories, power of suggestion, you've got cancer, almost being a death curse.
The big C word,
and the nocebo effect of that, right? You're not going to heal. So the world is starting to wake up.
Yeah.
And so when you look at your physiology and you look at the concept, the fact that it doesn't have to be so hard, you don't have to take something to fix it, right? Now, pharmaceuticals are great in their swim lane. Of course, this taking up the whole pool, which is what's happened. To where now we've got this wellness thing coming in. So you don't have to. You can either heal yourself, or not get there in the first place and remain well.
Prevention,
practices.
Prevention.
Right,
it's the key.
Right,
isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to prevent.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a huge industry that's been built on the other side of this picture.
Yeah, totally.
But there's pressure and the cracks are starting to appear. Pharmaceutical companies are finding it a lot harder to make a dollar, and hence there's a big push for the vaccine agenda right now. Right? The connections to the government and that whole web and system.
Big rabbit hole there, my friend.
Another one, just another one, and hopefully this doesn't get kicked off Facebook. Getting to physiology and the fact that you can use the quantum to start to imagine and using your mind to heal yourself, right? That's a very high level of the concept. Now, I posted on the other platform, in the Corporate Alchemist group on the other platform, and in there about giving a definition of the quantum field. In fact, you're better versed in this than I am, right? So, if we looked at how we connected into the corporate world, maybe we can connect it, and I'll be interested in your thoughts here. But, we used to have this thing called positive thinking, right? And, that
Bruce
kind of
Lee was the master of it, eh? Bruce Lee. He used to write, we're going back 40 years ago, Bruce Lee.
Yep.
He was writing affirmations every single day.
Is that right?
He was one of the key components of affirmations. When he was beginning in Hollywood, they'd say to him, we've got this idea of putting something on film.
Yep.
And he'd say, okay, give me a couple of days.
Yep.
And he'd do his affirmations, I can do it, I can leap from that side of the room to the other.
Right.
He'd set his mind, he'd come back and say, right, now I'm ready.
Right.
And because he affirmed it in his being, in that quantum field, he'd come back and do it in the 3D physical. He was a really amazing component of affirmations and working in that quantum mind space where setting the mind up in the belief system, and then I can do it.
Well, this is it, and the thing is too, it becomes connected to epigenetics as well, from a physiological point of view, because with epigenetics too, you're going, it's like the fake it until you make it. It might not feel right. You know what doesn't feel right is your body doesn't yet feel comfortable with it, but it will take the lead of the mind and the heart, right, moving forward. I mean, let's put it into a digestible thing that seems to be acceptable today: mental rehearsal.
Yeah, totally.
Right, and
athletes use it all the time.
Athletes, Tiger Woods, all of them. We've heard about this. The Olympics.
Practice a swing in the mind.
Right.
Practice swing in the mind, then pick up the club and hit the ball. Perfect.
Right. Because the subconscious knows no different.
Yeah.
So you keep putting it in that projector in your head.
Yeah.
The same if you keep doing that with the negative thoughts that are scaring you, that are connecting to the amygdala to bring the old thoughts back, to get the old cortisol and all these fear things, and then you've got that anxious sort of feeling in the body. Then you keep doing that, and you'll make it a reality.
As being a little bit of a golfer,
right?
I'm practicing that quantum golf, if you like.
Right.
Is
quantum golf? There's a
quantum
game.
Golf. Yeah.
Do you swear in that one too?
You don't need to know that from me to the pin is 110.
Right.
Because if I tune in to that quantum space, I don't need to know that it's a left brain measurement. Right. I can say, if I swing my club at a certain speed and hit it at a certain trajectory, I'll get my ball from there to the pin without having to know it's 110 yards.
Right. So how does someone do that? Like they say, tune in to all that is, all that ever will be, and and tune into that quantum space. But we have to let go of the task of saying it's a measurement or it's a fixed 3D concept. Right.
So we have to
time and space.
We've got to give ourselves, I'd say, freedom.
Right.
So we're not constrained.
Right.
And I know when I'm in that zone.
Yeah.
And I hit that ball sweetly.
Yeah.
I hit the pin.
Right.
And it's not because I know it's 110 k's.
Yeah, right.
110 meters.
Well, that's a long drive.
Oh, I can do 110.
That's a long drive.
In the quantum field, mate, we can do anything.
That's a long drive in a car, mate.
Quantum field, I can hit my ball.
Right.
Wherever I want to.
Yeah, the quantum ball.
Yeah. But it is about tuning into the mindset first of, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
I know I can do it. I know I can do it. Giving oneself permission that I know I can do it. So it's about the freedom of the inner wisdom that I can actually perform this for me.
Right.
And that's a great quantum space to go to.
Yeah.
A self-belief space, because it takes me into a freedom space. And then hit the ball sweetly and it's on the pin.
I mean, it's a pretty complex exercise, right?
Yeah.
You say, how can you feel how much you need to hit it and whatever else? And the rational part, the prefrontal cortex, can't compute that fast.
Yeah.
That's why when you're learning the manual car too, it's like you're crunching gears and stuff, because you're having to, for the first time, analyse it through here until it finally puts an imprint with the back where you don't even think about it and you can have a conversation and do a text at the same time.
And yet I wonder, Tommy, if we didn't read the manual, if we didn't get instructions and we just said, just jump in the car and tune in, whether we'd be able to do it easier. Whether we jump in that quantum realm, a bit like the Matrix, like it's all, keeps going, karate in 3 seconds because he's programmed to believe he can.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we taught our children in the education system, hey, by the way, there's a car outside, and if you just jump in and just, tune in, you'll be able to drive it.
Right.
And whether the human body will be able to.
Go,
because we haven't put the constraint in place in the first place. That this, and because usually it isn't with children, is, I'll go and get in the car, and by the way, it's probably going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So already we've programmed
this
the
will
mind.
Be difficult. Power suggestion.
Power suggestion.
Especially less than the age of 7, they're still exactly. At that, the delta wave type frequency, where they, not delta, that's sleeping, theta.
So they're totally
still taking it into the subconscious.
Totally, yeah. So if we can get into the education system where we're teaching children, adults, people in the core space, that you can actually do this.
Right.
And it's not going to be difficult, not even bringing that language in.
Yeah.
And stopping that boundary or that barrier to begin with.
Right.
And opening up into the quantum field straight away.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we inherit epigenetically, things that we can change in an instant epigenetically, but also stuff that goes back 3 generations, right? And so, we've been driving cars for more than 3 generations, so why can't that epigenetically just flow through?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the kids are coming out knowing how to use.
My granddaughters.
When
my
they come out
granddaughters-
with an iPhone in their hand soon, the way we're going, right?
My granddaughter, like, she was 5 years old. I was picking my phone up, and
Right.
she was putting these little faces on there. So when I opened my phone up, like, I have a funny face. I'm like,
Right.
how does she know that?
Already, how do they know that?
How does she know that?
Right.
Because she wasn't taught.
Right. And God knows there's been a lot of training beforehand for whoever had that child. So you've got to think there's an epigenetic expression that's happening that's bringing
Or
those
maybe
thoughts
she was in
forward.
the quantum field and she just knew how to
Pulled
do
it
it.
down from there,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Okay, the quantum field, something that connects all of us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And it's not a time and space thing, it's an isness thing.
Yep.
It just is.
Yep.
And when you start thinking about that concept, if you open your mind, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, who was it that said that worse than a closed mind? I mean, was it Warren Buffett or something? I can't remember. But, you know, having a closed mind is going to be one of the most destructive forces on earth.
It's the worst investment we can have as a closed mind.
Right? And
Yeah.
God, the ego lives right there,
Yeah,
guarding
yeah.
that little bastion.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So when we talk about the physiological
Yep.
and the quantum space,
Yep.
what are some of the things people can take away about tuning into the physiological to make that change, to become that alchemist, to become that agent of change
Yep.
in terms of that quantum space? What will be a couple of things to bring as an exercise, maybe, or as a thought, or as a process,
Yep.
to help people transit into opening up into a quantum thought process or a quantum way of life?
Yeah, okay. So look, I think this is the same concept we can use even into the corporate part of this discussion, but and life in general.
Yeah.
In that, and you've already said it. It's using your imagination to begin with, using your mind to be able to reprogram certain things, whatever they are, and to have them manifest. Now, if physiologically you're wanting to lose weight, then beginning to have an intent. And maybe having breakdown in that, like, you know, we break down goals in the corporate world to, whoa, that's a big vision statement. Well, you're going to bring that forward, you're going to break it down into digestible pieces, almost to a daily thing. And then you start blending in things like consistency, which we've spoken about before, the commitment, right? Making things a daily practice. And they become part of the intent. So let's say you break down the major goal into 3 or 4 intentional pieces that are along the way.
With the imagination.
With the imagination, right? And then, so what that is, that firing up the brain, you've got all the electrical activity happening in the brain where you're putting it out there into the field on, this is my intent.
Yeah.
And so project it up. Now, the second piece of this, to bring it to you, to attract it to you, that's where you're going to use the electromagnetic force of the heart. And you're going to open that up, right? My God, I'm talking like you right now.
And then we get the law of attraction.
Right? And you get the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You've heard it, and it's been described in many ways, but
Yeah.
it keeps coming back to this same thing.
Same principles.
Same
over and over.
principles. Call it whatever you want, right? It keeps coming back to that. But that emotionally feeling it. So to emotionally feel it, so intent to what it's going to look like, and imagine you've achieved it, and it's there, and then switching on, opening the heart, like, what does that feel like to be in that state? The same as, you know, let's say it's to do with money. You know, that feeling of lack will just keep it in that same state. Now, if you want to feel like today, and I know it's going to feel like a fake it till you make it thing.
Millionaire mindset.
The millionaire mindset,
Yeah.
right? And thinking, I have all these things, you know, in my life today, appreciating where you are today. And that's where the gratitude thing comes in, because these things don't come to you until you feel satisfied with where you are at today. So how do you really appreciate and feel rich with what you have today? And when you do that, guess what? More of it comes to you.
Yeah. And
right?
gratitude could be said to be in the quantum field because it's not tangible. And when people say to me, you know, what's the quantum field? I usually say, it's something that's real, but it's not tangible.
Right, and it's in waveform.
Yeah, it's a good way to express, you know, what quantum
Right.
is, you know, to the layman, if you like.
Right.
You know, it's something that
It's there.
we know it's there, like electricity. We
Yep.
know it's here.
Yep.
Love, we know
Yep.
love, but how can you go and get me a bag full of love from, you know, from Woolies?
Yep.
Well, I can't go and buy a bag of love, but I know it exists. 'Cause
Right.
I know because I felt it.
Right.
So it must be real,
Right.
you know, and I can test it out with somebody else because they felt it too.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So with energy, because if we're saying that everything is energy, and you know, unless you want to fight up against Einstein and Tesla, good luck. But they said everything was frequency, energy, vibration. So let's say then that let's say I wanted a Tesla. I do want one of those. I'm gonna
Go
get
test
one
drive it.
Go and test drive it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
there we
yeah,
go. You
yeah,
can get a
yeah.
feel for it. Good idea.
Get a feel for it. Yeah.
Right. But right now, it's not here.
Yeah.
It ain't here from what we can see through the narrow band that we can see in frequencies of light coming in, and then seeing these images. These are images. It's energy that's bringing it in to what is energy,
Yeah.
right? And that's an energy it's in itself. And at the moment, it's not tangible, like you said. It's not here. But I'm starting to imagine it and starting to attract that energy now. If it exists in the field and everything is energy, it seems to be easier to digest that then you can just bring this wave or this energy amorphous type thing to you until it materializes into, I guess, a lower frequency form, which becomes then structure, solid matter.
Yeah. And then obviously when you start to bring that to your imagination and you're walking on the street, you start to see Teslas.
Right.
You know, you open a newspaper.
We're starting to get closer to you.
It's always been there, of course.
Right.
But now we're aware of it.
Now we're aware of it.
And that's the difference. Yeah,
Right.
the awareness is there for me.
And this is it, right?
Yeah.
This is where you're starting to really exercise the limits of your brain.
Yeah.
And where we've got so lazy.
Yeah. We had that conversation earlier, didn't we?
We did.
We are so lazy as a human race.
We're stuck in. We've
lazy.
almost been, we have been programmed, and we could talk about other forces that don't exist in this dimension,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We're starting to get. Then we're starting to get.
We're going there on Friday.
Star Trek. Yeah, that's yours. That's yours on Friday.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Wood off
Wood off duck's back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think the problem is we've got to convince people out here.
Yeah. No, I don't
People are
convince.
right. Oh, there we go.
No convincing.
That's force.
No convincing.
Right.
Go and question it yourself.
Go and do your own Google search.
Go and do hit Google search.
Yeah, hit your Google in your brain.
Go and sit in meditation for 5 minutes. Go and have an affirmation for 7 days.
Right.
And see what changes.
Right.
Please don't take my word or Tommy's word for this.
Yeah, don't believe me.
Check it out for yourself. You know, if you want to go and play around with the quantum world, go and experience it. And then measure for yourself what's true and what's true.
Yeah.
Because what's true for me may not be true for you.
Yeah.
But if you find your inner truth, and then you cannot argue with inner feelings and inner truth.
Yeah.
Because when you feel it, you know it's real.
Yeah.
As my teacher, Yehuda, used to say, when you can know, you can know.
When you
know, you know.
Right.
And there's nobody can take that knowing away. You know, like people say, you know, I've reached God.
Yeah.
If it's their truth, it's their truth. I can't take that truth away from them because it's their truth.
Right.
They've reached that quantum field.
Right.
You know.
It's funny, isn't it, too, when you connect this to, unfortunately, or fortunately, when you're over the other side of it, hopefully still in the human form, if that's what you want, but when you have the health wake-up call, how that becomes the wake-up to go beyond, what was I doing before in my life, or what things have I got to change? Now, up until that, a lot of us take life for granted, and we're in the routine, we're programmed, we're on the treadmill of life, right? Until bang,
the wake up
get
call.
hit.
Get the wake up.
You get the wake up call to then you become open to other concepts. And if you want to put the word in there, you know, spiritualism. Right? Quantumism, right? But once again, we'll go back to the religion that most people believe in science. Science is catching up with it and showing it's real. Once again, I mean, Einstein, Tesla. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but is anybody out there smarter than those guys? You know?
I'll give you one. go and check out Nassim Haramein.
Oh, on Gaia TV.
Nassim Haramein is the next level Einstein. I'm putting it out there.
Is that right?
He's breaking down and taking Einstein's work to another level again. Nassim Haramein.
What sort of brain does that take?
He's an incredible human being.
Right.
Yeah, and he's taking the concepts of Einstein and others, and he's taking it into the quantum space. He's talking about the torus fields and quantum energy and black holes. Incredible mind.
Right.
And I'd say Einstein is behind Nassim Haramein's work. So check him out. Just Google him and incredible human being. Mind blowing stuff.
I guess the point is though, it's like this stuff's been around since at least Einstein.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's actually been around forever.
Well, the quantum has, right? Yeah, but but bringing it into the modern world, would you call it?
Yeah.
Yet it seemed to not take off. for some interesting reason. The slightly cynical side of me starts to look at agendas that must have been at play to keep it in the box.
The church.
The church, right? So Newtonian physics was fine. And they told him, apparently, fine, but you don't cross this line. So you can stay in your 3 dimensions. Stay in your 3 dimensions. The other stuff, we got that.
So talk about gravity, but don't talk about levity.
Right. Oh, interesting.
So bring everybody down into the 3D with gravity.
Right.
But obviously the opposing force or the opposite force to gravity is levity.
Levity. Right.
And we're all in, as human beings, we stand up straight, we're in levity. And yet, if you ask somebody to write a half a page on gravity, quite easy. They talk about the apple falling off the tree or things falling.
Right.
But no, go and write 200 words on levity. It's not taught in the education system. It's not part of the narrative. Because when you get into levity, you start getting into quantum and spirituality.
Right.
So it's been held back in the gravitational space.
Being held back, oh God.
For 200 years.
Right. More conspiracy theories afoot. Right, as to why that would be.
But fact.
Fact that it was being held back, or fact that something is holding
fact that one is a conversation, one isn't. That's the fact. The fact is gravity is a conversation, levity isn't.
Right.
That's the fact.
Right. Yeah. I think we're in
that's the rabbit hole.
Right, there we go. Yet another one. Yeah. So, okay, bringing this back. Yeah. So, physiology for performance, right? Performance, and whether you're an athlete or a corporate athlete, right? Professional athlete or corporate athlete, rehearsing the right stuff in your mind starts to give you access to the quantum field. And so what practice is that? We've mentioned this before, right? Journaling. Because if you are journaling and you're reviewing, you're stopping and you're reviewing your day, where things are at, and then you're imagining, let's say, where you want to go, and you're making notes on this. So important to do that consistently on a regular basis. And then meditate. So in the morning, I'll journal. I will meditate first to get all into the right space and thinking, and getting the projector going, and thinking about my outcome and feeling my outcome, right? And then journaling about it, right? To reinforce.
And it is, because once we set that subconscious mind up, we can change the DNA in the body. We can change the RNA in the body. Right. It's proven now. You can. I'm a psychotherapist by work, and when I was in South Africa doing my training, one of the students was also a doctor. She used to use live blood analysis. So the client before the session would have a live blood analysis, and it'll be put on the screen, as an image, and then they have a 1 hour of psychotherapy to change something in their physiology. They do the same test. I put screen by screen, picture by picture, totally different blood.
One's unclustered, one's clustered.
1 hour.
In 1 hour.
Psychotherapy through changing the mindset.
Okay, so this is where Adrian and I gel really well, right?
Because it's scientifically proven.
Because it's scientifically proven, but and I was being slightly facetious, bordering on sarcastic, right?
I love a bit of sarcasm.
There we go.
Bring it on.
But because I'm the technologist, right? So there is also technology that's coming out. Well, that is out.
There's not proving what we've been doing for 20 years.
Right. Well, that you can do organically, or you get some help with technology that can take you up to the 4th and 5th dimension through frequency. I mean, because we're talking about frequency and energy, right? You can either generate that yourself with, I think, the crystals that live in the pineal gland or whatever, or we've got aids available.
Just don't take too much fluoride, because they're sort of...
that'll fry your brain. It's like, the crystals become very scratched. So start tuning into radio stations. With that, so there's tech that allows us to be able to do that today as well, right? And that shows the same. They'll give you like a treatment with, in fact, down to wearable size product to help with healing many different things, depending on the frequency, because each cell has a different frequency, right?
And when we send out radionics, if you like, working with radionics, we can now send out a broadcast, from a radionic perspective in energy frequency, and change somebody on the other side of the planet through healing.
Right. Up through the quantum.
Up through the quantum field. Now, get on a radio wave or a healing wave, and sending out a positive vibration or an energy frequency vibration to help people change physiologically. Through an energy frequency wave. Now, whether that's a thought wave, that's where we have to start to go. where's the science behind this?
Right.
On what wave are we working?
You know what's funny is some of that science is already proven. Here's where people get really wrapped around the axle on this, because it's okay to say, yeah, we're going to send this email to you, which we know and accept is going to go via the cloud.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got to turn into frequency somewhere along the line there to get to the other side, right? That's it. That should be an easy one to mentally digest and leave.
And the telephone.
Right.
You know, pick up a telephone.
Telephone?
I'm having
A telephone.
a conversation, and I hear somebody on the other side of the planet.
Right.
And there's no cable.
Right. Or
it's on a wave band.
Or tune in the FM radio station to watch this week's game. Now that's totally acceptable, normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
That's been around since Marconi and
But we don't have to think about it.
Tesla. But but that we believe.
Yeah.
But when we think about it and we try to do the same into another cloud called the quantum, right, or the field.
Telepathy.
Yeah.
This
is Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
whoa.
But it's on an energy frequency,
right?
So it must be the same as
It's
the radio
the
frequency.
same. It's
microwave.
not that far apart,
Yeah.
but just using part of things that exist in the body to do the same thing, right?
Light, like they're talking about light from 40 billion light years away.
Right.
It's on
hitting us now.
It's on a
with information.
frequency.
Yep. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I'm hoping that makes it a little easier for people.
Oh, we totally confused everybody.
Stomach, right? They've gone, what is he on, man? So, but the thing is though, if we are able to, because just getting back to that, the corporate side there,
We're back to beginning.
Going back, right? I'm trying to loop
Back
this
in
out.
the loop,
People.
mate.
We're going so many segues here
Back in the
that
loop.
I'm getting decision fatigue in my head. But when we're talking about performance in sport, and you're saying organically we can do this, and I'd hate for human beings, and in fact, if anything, we should be increasing our capability in being able to do this.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. It's like when the kids started getting calculators, and I was in the area where we went from slide rules to calculators, then you start to lose that ability. It's like you don't use it, you lose it. And I think that's dangerous. Greg Braden talks a bit about this, right? But the point is, we can do it, and we can develop the skills to be able to get really good at it. And so when you apply that to whether you're a professional athlete or whether you're a professional in the corporate world, to mentally rehearse these things. I mean, with mental rehearsal we understand, but here's what's happening. It's a quantum-filled thing that's going on, in the brain. You're programming, but you can use it to bring things to you, that same concept, right? So you want a great performance, you want to be closing these big deals.
Imagine it.
It's simple, right?
Vision boarding,
boarding it,
mentaling, writing it.
Get excited about it.
Feel it.
Right. Feel it.
If you want a Tesla,
right,
go and drive one and feel what it's like.
What it's like. Smell the leather.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, vegans. Whoops, one here.
Flexitarian.
Okay, he eats leather. He eats leather chairs sometimes.
Bought leather shoes on the weekend. I did.
That's right. Hey, look, I got a leather jacket in there.
For all my vegan
friends
out there, I bought leather shoes on the weekend.
I don't want you eating my leather jacket or my leather shoes. So when you go into non-vegan mode, where were we? So the Tesla, imagining it. But what about? Here's one I remember from when I was growing up. Is don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah.
What the fuck is with that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, should that be the case?
No,
don't get your hopes up.
That's what I'm saying about the
because you get disappointed.
Yeah, don't get disappointed. Yeah. Don't go for gold. Have a B plan.
Have a B plan.
Yeah.
I naturally think that my ectomorph type is that.
See, I'm not a B'er at all.
Right, you've got A plan.
I'm in, man. I'm in. If it doesn't work out,
the A plan.
If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Right. I'm not going to give up on the goal. I'm just going to have 3 routes to get there.
Oh, man, I'm number one. I'm straight in. I'm one hit wonder. Like, have a go. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, start again.
I
don't do plan Bs.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Not a plan B.
Well, I'm not giving up. I'm just like, okay, that way or that way or that way.
Too many options.
Too many options, yeah.
Just get on.
My God, we're getting a serious amount of spotlight sun going on here.
It's just
want to put the cap on.
But this is it. If we have a plan B, what are we saying? I don't trust.
We don't trust the first.
I don't trust
way.
the first one.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to make an excuse.
You lack
make
commitment.
It fail.
There's a commitment.
Yeah, no commitment.
Good call.
So
Jeez, I might have to think about that now.
So I'd suggest.
But only in the plan A version.
Yeah, plan A. Go for it.
Right.
What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing. Because if you believe it enough, it'll happen. There's actually nothing to lose.
Yeah. Nothing
to lose is another construct.
Jeez, how do I change my DNA programming on that one?
Energetically, mate.
Energetically,
Yeah,
through the quantum.
We just
Right. Here we go. Okay.
bit of psychotherapy with Adrian.
Right. So from a healing, sure, you can use pharmaceuticals, and some of those will numb the pain and treat the symptom really damn well. The thing is, even when you think you've got rid of those problems too, right, as we talk about quantum and physiology, interestingly, a lot of time those things will come back.
Well, because what we do, we take them out of the physiological, but they stay in the energy field.
You haven't got
They
rid of
stay
it
in
all.
what I call the chi energy or the etheric energy field.
Right.
Every ailment, every memory we ever have is stored
Right.
in the memory etheric body.
Right.
And as a psychotherapist, I can access that memory
Right.
through psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And you can access pain,
Yep.
memory,
Yep.
good thoughts, negative thoughts.
Right.
And people go back to that moment as if it was surreal.
Right.
So when I do, if I go back into that regression work,
Yeah.
to loosen an old paradigm or an old belief system,
Yeah.
people go back to being 6 or being 7,
Yeah.
and they may have had a trauma. They taste it, they smell it, they feel it, and they're back in that space.
Right.
And this is where the Einstein work comes in, that time is meaningless. And I know in my therapy work, time is meaningless.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm with a client, they're 7 again.
Right.
They are in that moment. They smell it, they taste it, they feel it.
Right.
And then in that moment, we can change the paradigm,
Yeah.
change the belief system,
Yeah.
come back to the present,
Yeah.
and things have changed energetically.
Right.
And it's real.
Yeah.
The client,
See,
they
and
know.
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean,
Yeah.
you're working with your people in that fashion, and I'm coming from that other angle of using some aids, like in the biotech exec program, and because execs tend to seem to be able to digest easier that some form of technology is there versus doing it oneself. The thing is, and that's why we're together, because this shit does work, doing it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if Joe Dispenza is just one of the so many examples, and so many that are not spoken about or put on TV or a series, that exists. And I think for people to develop that art and get better at it, I think is so important.
Yeah.
But also for those that want a bit of help and a bit of a crutch or a lever to get there, and you can only
It's
get
an
to certain
access point.
levels.
I-
You can only get to certain levels with tech too.
Of course,
you can
yeah.
go beyond levels with still what we are in this.
Well, the thing with an instrument,
Yeah.
it's and the technology, it doesn't have a soul, so you can't really do the soul work.
Right.
Yeah, so you can
Right.
you can get an
Well, it doesn't
understanding
tap
of
in.
something,
It doesn't
but
tap into the soul. Right.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Well, that's a whole.
Who knows?
That's a whole other
It is,
conversation.
isn't it? Oh my God!
But,
That Neuralink. He's trying.
Yeah,
Elon
yeah.
Musk. He's going to have the
Yeah.
wires going into your brain.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to be a first prehistoric step.
It's going to be interesting
Right.
times.
And my God, that is going to be
Interesting
interesting times.
times,
The moralistic impact,
Yes,
philosophical discussions we could have on this.
So I think with the tech work, it's a great gateway
It's a
for
gateway.
people to step in
It's a gateway
to begin with
I
and
like
get to a
that.
certain point, and then after that work
Yep.
is what next, then
Yep.
go into the soul and spiritual work.
Well, look, you know what I think? I think it gives it's a great way to increase the belief, because it's still using the same concept, and this stuff didn't exist. And then you bring in something, and what we call, instead of pharmaceuticals, let's call them, and in a positive context, please, electroceuticals.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that then all of a sudden these electroceuticals doing amazing things through certain devices, people go, well, shit, that's weird. This quantum frequency stuff does exist.
Yeah.
And then the next intermediate step would be, well, that's an intermediate step towards going, so I can do this maybe myself.
Yeah. How many people are on a TENS machine? Like you just.
Right, but I thought they were about cutting off nervous.
But it's still
system.
technology.
It's still technology, and it's still waveform.
It's not
still
Reiki.
frequency.
It's
Right,
not Reiki.
Right,
it's a machine.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
so we have hands-on Reiki.
Yep.
Or we have a machine doing the same thing.
Yep.
And the same result.
Right.
Relief.
Yeah, relief.
Yeah.
Right. So, which is what that's doing. But then
Yeah.
fixing the problem, like you said, we can still fix
Then you
what
got
really
to
is a
then you got to
symptom.
do the mindset stuff.
But then you got to go on the mindset, spirit, and
That's the
soul
psyche
stuff.
Got to do the psyche.
Right.
Which is what soul and psyche, same word.
Right. But where we've gone from EMS to the second EMS,
Yeah.
right? Eat, move, sleep, where I focus, and you're in the emotional, mental, spiritual side. You're then going to take the EMS side. I'll lose my train of thought here. Damn it.
Eat, move, sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, eat, move, sleep, and then emotional, mental, spiritual.
And in between
it's
the
going to
two,
be earth-shattering.
And the link between the two.
The link between the two.
Yeah.
And so if we can help that bridge with using some devices to give people the leg up into going into that realm. Oh, that's what I was going to say, is that, so it could perhaps help fix some things, the same as, let's say, pharmaceuticals can through electroceuticals. But like you said before, though, you may not still be treating the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be at a higher level a lot of the time. You know, the fact that right now, and I've suffered always with tight hips, and especially on my right. It's giving me a bit of bother at the moment.
Right?
There's a story in there. Now, I had my Reiki healer come along, and she's amazing, right? And she's epigenetically, actually, I don't know, get sciencey here, but suited. Her whole body form. I mean, she's a pure ecto sensor, right? You know that she's going to be into yoga and Pilates and all these sensory type approaches to life. And she's brilliant. And, you know, she relieved straight away after the session with her. It was sorted. About a week or so later, it started to come back again. I'm thinking, this is sitting at a higher level. And it's going to be an emotional thing, I know. And I think around the lower back and hips, whatever, tends to be about support.
I talk about the 7 veils of relief. So we start, I feel like we start on the physical. And then we do the emotional. Then we go through the veils of the soul. Until we get to the core aspect of the story, which is usually our spiritual self that's locked in to it. So unless we go in, you know, down and down and down and down, we do a bit of surface healing, which is great. But if we want to go down, we have to go down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
We've got to go to the core.
Into the muck.
Into the core.
Into the core.
Into the core. All the time. The same as business. You know, if you want to get to the understanding of why the business isn't working, you can do the surface stuff and go, oh, it's because of that staff member or this staff member, or because of this projection's not happening or this KPI is not being met. But what's the core of why it's really not? It's because the frequency isn't right. And you've got to get to understand what the frequency is or is not doing in terms of everybody involved. And it's back to that quantum.
It's going to be at a high level.
Quantum level.
Fish always starts to rot in the head, and the solution's going to be in the quantum.
Always.
Right. So.
And as we get more understanding about that quantum field, which I think is going to accelerate in the next decade, like absolutely accelerate. I think it's going to go from, you know, Commodore 64 to modern day. What's that been, like 30 years?
And Murphy's Law and how it doubles.
So you imagine what's happened in the last 30 years. And then
we're on this bender.
Take that in the next decade.
Exponential.
The next decade is going to be
phenomenal. I'm seeing it with digital health, health tech. Right now, and the fact, and this is where it's interesting too, as we look at some of this quantum stuff, but how people are going to be getting back control and being empowered. And this is what I like about the device side themselves. Now, who gets disintermediated through this? The current medical system needs to pick up its game and reposition and pivot, if you will. That's the term that's been used a bit through this COVID crisis. Or amalgamate. Even better.
Because we all need,
instead of separating,
the Panadol occasionally, a bit of Nurofen, you know, the bit of stitching, you know.
Bring it together.
You know, if I'm getting stitched up, you know, I do like to be anaesthetised.
Well, this is integration.
You know,
this is
spiritual science.
Spiritual science, but functional medical docs, or you know, you have the National Institute for Integrative Medicine here in Australia. That's where I'm going for a doctor, right? You know, I have a doctor who's also now part of my program, and he's got a time waiver unit. He's got they've got all the frequency stuff, Chinese medicine, you know, Ayurvedic medicine from India, all of it combined. Like
and
you're saying,
and more
bringing it all together.
Are moving towards that. Right. I think the old paradigm is breaking down.
I think it is.
And for me,
we're breaking down the medical wall.
For me, it's about when we have that power. The question is, whose hands is the power in? Because the power is power. Frequency is frequency.
Well, we've given it away, but frequency, you bring it back.
It's what we do with it. Yeah, we have to be conscious and cautious of who's got the power in the hand. And what's the intent and what's the motive behind using the energy. And I think we have to tune in on a higher frequency level of going, that frequency or that energy that I'm after is in a particular hand. You know, do I trust that person or that institution that has that in the hands or not? And that's starting to be questioned.
It's starting to be questioned, and I think people are starting, because a lot of them wake up to take it back into their own hands, that are becoming knowledgeable, that are opening their minds to things like quantum physics and what that means for not just medicine, but all forms of healing, to all forms of things you just want in life. Tapping into that higher order. You know, so I think we're in an incredibly exciting age, and they're saying that this is actually happening as a concept for those that are focused in this. You know, you might want to look up Gaia TV as one where a lot of this, and Nassam
Nassim Haramein.
Is
Greg
there as
Braden.
well.
Yeah,
Greg
yeah.
Braden,
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza, these guys.
Adrian Hanks.
Tommy
Hanks.
Gallant. Tommy Gallant. I'll be more on the physiological side, right? To say hi guys. Yeah. Here's some more tech. Right?
Well, but it's needed.
It's needed.
You know?
I think there's a place for it. And
coming from an old Luddite, that's quite a statement.
Right. Yeah. Says a guy who's releasing a book that's got some interesting stuff to talk about. I'm not going to blow it
Well,
here.
we're going to talk about it. Well, you can
Soon,
next week we interview that book. I do
right?
have a new novel. It's called 2084.
Oh, there we are.
So it's
There it
it's
is.
out there.
It's out there.
It's out there. It's
All right.
it's the next
I didn't want to blow
stage.
it.
Next stage on from 1984, George Orwell's.
That's a big task, mate.
Huge, 4.5 years in the making.
You've taken on George.
And being released on the 14th of August.
14th of August.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
Look out for that
We'll
book.
be waving in front of the cameras.
Right. Do you like how I gave you a plug there,
Yeah,
mate?
mate. You go onto the website.
Quick, 2084. I like the cover with
Yeah.
the red,
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
and on the black.
I'm actually
It's like,
shirt
boom.
shopping at the moment, just
Shirt
trying
shopping?
to find a shirt to match the
2084.
Yeah. Oh, just a nice shirt with the
Right.
red and the black. So
You have to have those at your launch.
yeah,
handing them out.
yeah. So launch on the Gold Coast.
On the
if
Gold
I can do
Coast,
a quick plug,
Right, yeah,
we're
please.
talking about quantum energy. I'm going to put some
Yep.
energy out now.
Right.
Yeah, 14th of August. Book launch on the Gold Coast, and you can come along to the launch, which will be amazing.
Yep.
And actually pre-order the limited edition book as well.
Fantastic.
And 2084. And it's
2084.
all about working in that new paradigm,
Right.
being in that new paradigm
Right.
in 2084,
Okay.
moving on from Big Brother,
Yep.
and living life on the planet in a different frequency.
Right.
You'll have to read the book to how to get there.
All right, and apart from the book, we're also at the moment we've got the plans down for
We've got some plans out.
the video.
We've visualised it.
We've
We're
visualised
putting
it.
it out there underneath us.
We're actually looking
Yeah.
at getting a project manager right now
Yeah.
to get the video series together.
Yeah.
Not of 2084, but that could be an idea.
There you go.
But of our 12-week series around the physiological,
Yeah.
the psychological, and
the
the
spiritual. Yeah, to bring more soul into the space, bring more soul into business.
Yeah.
And I feel with that visual, with that support on a video series,
Yep.
just to give people that, a couple of hours a week or whatever we decide.
That's it.
Is
Bite-sized pieces,
tune in.
micro trainings,
Yeah.
15 to 20 minutes
Yeah.
long each.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
easy for the corporate exec in transit back to or from
Yeah.
work if you are actually COVID
Yeah.
allowed.
And getting to be in that, what we're calling the alchemist.
Yep.
The alchemy of change.
Bringing about the change.
It's
Embracing the change,
embracing the change.
using it for your advantage.
Yeah.
Because
I'm telling you,
leading, setting the example.
If people don't get on the carousel,
they're going to go behind. They're
they're
going
going to fall behind.
Yep.
So many companies. Thomas Cook travel agency in Great Britain. Thomas Cook, biggest travel agency in the world. Thomas Cook.
Never heard of them.
Went bust
Did they?
because they didn't get on board.
Right.
Didn't
I
get
do
on board.
remember them.
Yeah. It's easy. They didn't get on board.
It's up there with Kodak, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't get on board.
Didn't they embrace the technology change?
Crazy,
Good old Kodak. No, we're sticking with film because we're making a shitload of dollars out of film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stay down that path, champ. Let's see how
Yeah.
that works for you. Well,
Gone.
here we are. And who took them on? Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Good old Jobsy.
Yeah, but they stayed with it. They
Yeah,
stayed with it. And by the time they had one come out, it was too late. They were,
Yeah. So you've got to be ahead of the game.
Well, you got to have an open mind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I mean, they said that about the cloud. It's,
Yeah.
the big companies, the big IT companies out there said that'll never happen.
Yeah,
No, it's a fad. It's a fad. No, it was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And right now we have another huge phenomenon that's happening to humans here on the planet.
And there's so much
Earth right
space up there to upload everything because there's like tons of space.
now. Yeah, right.
There's a cloud there, cloud there.
Yeah, the whole universe.
Yeah, just
how
sitting
many
up there,
gigabytes is that?
Yeah, all my files, the
Right.
files in my book are up there somewhere.
Right. Yeah, it's just tapping into them now and then. Is the tricky piece. Getting better at that.
Forgetting the password.
Right, the password. I hate that. Yeah.
The 3D stuff gets in the way, doesn't it?
Thank God for what is it?
Yeah.
The last pass.
Yeah. So Tommy Glenn.
Yes.
Wrapping up.
Wrapping
Wrapping
up.
up.
Oh my God, we covered some territory there.
Yeah,
didn't we?
did, mate. We went quantum, mate.
We went to the high level.
We went
Hopefully,
quantum.
we didn't lose too many people along the way. If anything, I'm hoping that we garnered up some curiosity.
Yeah.
To open some minds would be a great achievement after this podcast,
Yeah.
this video cast. This stuff is happening. It's scientific. It's real. If you want to optimize, if you want to get to your full potential, and realize your purpose on the planet as well, going inside, tapping into yourself, and it is difficult at the start. The thing is, it's the consistency play. The reason it's difficult is because you're so used to operating on automatic, and the habits that are happening actually in the back of your head. 70,000 or whatever it is thoughts a day, and what is it? 90% or something. How much energy is chewed up on that? And so you got to put some new programs in, which means you got to open your mind to new stuff, and then your whole life starts to change. Things start to come to you a lot easier, to where you think, hang on, I don't deserve this. Why? Because you're looking at the old paradigm.
Yeah, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it.
It should be hard. It should require a lot more energy and effort.
Millionaire mindset, it should be easy.
Right.
Yeah. Because every, great creators, their IP, like I do a lot of work in my groups,
right,
and we measure the IP, the intellectual property of the value.
Right.
And when people really get a concept of, if they put in the time, the energy, the money, the coaching, the planning, the visualization, and also looking at the blockages of what's stopping them, the potential that they have, the IP potential of the value is in the millions.
Yeah.
And most people have
Probably
got
more.
some IP of millions in their
Just sitting there.
daily thinking.
Yeah.
With ideas.
So we are creators and we're powerful, is what you're
Write
saying.
the idea down. I say visualize, so V, then plan, and then take action.
Right.
So visualize, plan, and action, but the planning is usually where it gets stuck, because the old mindset comes in.
Yeah.
I can't do it, I haven't got the skills, I don't deserve it. But everybody has an idea every single day that potentially can make them $1 million.
There we go.
Every day.
There we go.
If they think, if they get creative. Some people just don't, because that's just the paradigm they're in. But for the creatives, every day there's an idea.
Yep.
And every idea that's wasted is $1 million down the drain.
Well, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of talent. Let's say it could be singing or whatever. A lot of great ideas that just don't get out of people's insides. And that's a damn shame. There's so many artists out there. Fortunately, we have things like The Voice and whatever else. It's starting to extract them. And it's brought down that barrier to entry, which is amazing. And the talent, and when those shows started, you'd see the talent that's hidden. You go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
There's
so much more.
We might finish with a bit of talent. How about Adrian playing the didgeridoo?
Oh, yes. There we go.
10 seconds, and then we'll finish up.
The Quantum Do.
The Quantum Do.
There we go. The Quantum Do. We're going to go out with some vibration, talking about frequency, energy, and vibration. Look at that. We've got beautiful sunshine, too.
If I can get an angle.
Are you going to, I think you're going to aim that at people. It's like dangerous. Can you do a bit of a hit?
How's that, Tommy Glenn?
Mate, fantastic. I was hitting the frequency and the vibration there.
Isn't it amazing?
I know that Aboriginals have used that for healing too, have they?
40,000 years.
Vibration, frequency, energy. There it is.
Quantum medicine, 40,000 years old. There you go.
Electroceuticals, straight out of that little baby. Or vibraceuticals.
Vibraceuticals. We love our new dictionary. That's
Frequaceuticals.
Yeah, the CAP dictionary.
The CAP dictionary. You want to start up a new one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Great to tune in. And see you on the flip side. If you want more, go over to other platforms.
The other platform.
And have a listen in.
Look up the Corporate Alchemist project page. I've been slow on putting up the content, but working on that tonight. We're going to be using some new tech that everything gets out everywhere, so you won't have to worry about that we won't have to worry about it more. You won't have to wait much longer.
All right, so we're done.
I think it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
All right, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.